Nino, we also cannot hear you. Check the microphone or something, but there is no sound when you're speaking.
Okay, all set. And we are 3:05. I think we can start to keep the schedule. It's Friday, and thank you for joining us today. It's lovely to see you. Some of us have joined us from the cars. Thank you, Lisa. Hello, welcome, Talina. And today's meeting is aimed at as one of the dissemination activities where we all gather and talk about human rights a month and a half later after our training in Karlovac. I hope that you are feeling okay, that you feel good. Hello, Alessia. And I hope you had some time to gather your thoughts to apply the things that we did on the training that Valentina and Igor transferred to you, but I also hope you had some fun, you had some nice things beside youth work, and yeah, that's it. Welcome once again. This is our meeting as a human rights festival. Within the project LEaF. LEaF stands for, and French people, please cover your ears. And French-speaking people, Valentina, I'm looking at you. Liberté, Egalité, and Fraternité. Yes, those R's are really breaking my tongue. See, tongue.
Maybe Lisa and Basma can say, was that good enough?
Yes, it was good.
Yes, perfect.
Merci. That's easy to say. Yeah. Okay, so small flashback to the project. We had project activity dates from 9th to 15th of October, May. Let's not forget arrival and departure day that made some hustle. Actually, I made a hustle about it. So we met at May 8th and we said goodbye with all of you, with the last ones of you left Karlovac on May 16th. We spent a beautiful week in beautifully rainy Karlovac. Now it's really hot. Karlovac is usually one of the hot zones in Croatia. So it is... yeah, you missed the summer, but maybe you will join us at the winter break. I will contact you about that. Maybe not maybe, but in a few days. So let's forget about the future. Let's return to the past. So we had a project about human rights, pop culture, and mainstream culture, as we all remember. Participants from Croatia, Albania, Aruba, France, Georgia, North Macedonia, Moldova, Spain, and Turkey. So yeah, we met within Erasmus Plus project aimed at youth workers, and we talked about pop culture, mainstream culture, aimed at human rights-based approach, and we learned a lot. We also taught you a lot, but we also learned from you. I also did a lot of dishes. Yeah, that's something that I didn't expect to do, but yeah, from washing dishes from myself to washing dishes to almost 30 people, it's an upgrade either way. So I'm gonna do a small and really quick rewind of the project by answering the two questions, like, why did we do what we did? Why did we do what we did? So maybe it's logical to start what we did. Yeah, we did a project aimed at youth workers, Liberté, Egalité, and Fraternité, a project that was aimed at recognizing young people and youth workers as holders, as stakeholders in human rights, and as supporters in working with other young people in understanding, claiming, and owning their rights. But why did we do it? Because we recognized that young people across Europe are usually not recognized as human rights holders. So we wanted to empower you, to empower other young people to claim their rights and to take an active role in a democratic society and to feel more as a European family within Erasmus umbrella. And once again, hello umbrella team from Georgia. And in doing that, we had several objectives. I will just go through the main objectives to remind you a bit. What were the aims? Like what did we have in mind when we organized the training? To understand the process of recognizing young people as human rights holders, to raise the awareness and respect the application of human rights values in youth work, and to provide youth workers with concrete and really logical know-how tools and resources in how to work with our target groups in claiming their own rights. And yeah, we spent the week in rainy Karlovac, and then I will maybe transfer to like what exactly did we do. I'm gonna ask our trainers, Valentina and Igor, to take over and to spare me of speaking this much.
Okay, thank you, Jakov.
Thank you.
Valentina and I prepared the presentation, which I'm going to share in a moment, to just show you the methods and the content that we covered. And we spent like 3 or 4 weeks in creating this presentation. But then Valentina's dog ate the presentation, and now we have just nothing, you know. Okay, I'm kidding. It's not nothing. We have something, and it's really good. And I'm going to share it with you now.
From the first slide, Igor, from the first slide. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that. Do you see the presentation? Okay, nobody nodding.
Yes.
Somebody
Yes,
nods.
I confirm.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so the presentation name is "Did These Memories Leave You?" So the goal of the presentation is to try to remember what we did, and we wanted this to be interactive as much as possible. So please, we invite you to comment on everything that we're going to show you, and actually we will leave some of the pictures for you to comment on how you experienced it, what you remember about it. Do you want to maybe share some memories or anything that's connected to these pictures? But first, Jakov already took our first
We took our
slide.
punch, yes.
We took our punchline. Yeah. So, what is the meaning of LEaF? Jakov already told you that. Yeah. So, congratulations, Jakov. Okay, so we're going to the next slide. First, we want to show you is the timetable, which is the most boring slide of them all in this presentation, and we just want to try to remember day by day what we did. So I will invite Valentina to take us through the first day of our training course, and then I would be very happy if somebody else would continue of what we did on the following day. Okay?
As you remember, yes, I'm just going to start speaking, Igor. As all of you remember, well, at least the ones who were there at the moment, we had some changes on the very first day, and this is the timetable that we have sent you, but it's not again the one that we have followed during our training. As you remember, we had some changes, and also even within the first day. So, but what we did start the day with was definitely the LEaF passport. If you remember correctly, when we made an introduction and what was needed for you to come to our country and again to leave our country. So what we did was an interactive activity in which we tried to make it fun for you to present yourselves. Later during the week, you could have seen your passports standing on the wall. After that, we tried to transmit you what were the goals and objectives of our training. And in the afternoon, as I said, we had some changes because the group was not full. So we decided to, with your support, again, something that I need to underline because you agreed to it, is that we put some sessions from day 1 to day 2. So more or less on the very first day, we had a lot of team building activities, and everything was set to be made for us and for you, for the whole group, to get to know each other. So this was the very short recap of the first day of the training. And is there someone else who would like to start with presenting the day number 2, as you remember it? You know that for us, it's okay to sit in silence. We can be here forever. You know us well already. So no memories from day 2. So Igor, I'm throwing the ball back at you now for day 2. So we have a lot of French-speaking people in the background at the moment. So Jakub, please mute Morgan.
Okay, thank you for that. So, this was.
I think the second one was like the day we make the quizzes about the main values of different enterprises or organizations or things like that, no?
Great, Zoe, yes. What else?
And
blue, red, green.
I don't know. It was like the no. I don't remember anything.
We have a candidates, Miki or Eva or both.
It will be me this time.
Ivana.
I don't remember the before the afternoon, but in the afternoon after lunch with blue, red, green, we were talking about the 3 generations of human rights. So the first generation, which was more about the basic human rights, and then the second one about liberties and in working conditions, so social liberties, and then the green one was more about more modern issues, followed by the last one, which was the 4th generation, which was more dystopian type of generation.
Future-looking, future-forward ones. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Swinda? Do you hear me? Yes. No. Yes. No. Okay. No, I remember the digital value. I like it very much because we were discussing about the values, the values about the human rights and all the different organizations and which value are very important. It was like a quiz, and it was very nice. And we all had the slogan for our group. So it was very interesting because I didn't know that some of the organizations have some of the values on a different way. So it was very nice. That's what I remember from digital value.
Okay, thank you, Swinda. Okay, so if nobody knows what being human is or pop culture, maybe Valentina can remind us, because I don't remember what being human was also.
It's because we didn't do being human. It's because we interfered with the Mission Impossible from day 1.
Yes.
And if you remember, you had things to connect and some challenges to achieve. Do you remember those challenges? For instance, you had to find all the names of the participating organizations, connect them to flags of the countries. You had some QR codes to explore some unknown people. And yes, please, Miki or Eva, do continue.
And this time me. So basically, I remember we also needed to do this where we had the quotes, and then we needed to connect the quote to the person, and it was all human rights fighters. Another one was to take a picture of everyone Another was
put it on Padlet.
Yeah, and put it on Padlet. The other one was to get everyone to sign up on Padlet and to write their what was it?
Their introduction.
Their introduction, or like introduce themselves on Padlet.
So a bunch of different tasks.
Yeah, a bunch of different various tasks, and in order to like become a more cohesive group, I think that was the point of the tasks, I think.
That was exactly the point of the task. I remember that we liked it a lot when we were making it. And that's why we decided to do it on the very second day, on the 10th of May instead of a day before when the whole group was here. And in the afternoon, we just made, we just made an introduction to pop culture as an introduction actually to the next day of the activities. So this is it from day 2. And does anyone remember then what we did during day 3?
I remember for day 3.
Go, Talina.
Good morning here, everyone. I don't remember pop movements exactly. Maybe I didn't get my coffee yet that day, but popography was when we all had like an image represented on the PowerPoints, or we were given an image, and then from that we had to try to interpret or recreate it in a way that would send a similar message. And then we did pop cinema, where we created the different movies based on the scenarios that we were given. And then we addressed cancel culture. And yes, that's what I remember from day 3.
Yeah, we have some, yeah. Yeah, Zoe, go.
I remember like the first activity that I think it was the one that you gave us pictures and we have to recreate them. No, that was the first one.
That was the topography.
Yes. Well, so I don't remember the first activity.
Yes, you remember. You are still remembering well because it was the recreation of famous photos speaking about human rights. And pop movements, if you remember, were about popular hashtags. Now you remember it. Yeah, hashtags that actually influenced real social movements around the world.
Now I remember. Thank you for that.
And here comes Jakob with favorite, yeah, of course. Actually, day 3 was all about getting into the content itself and into being creative. As we remember, you were quite exhausted after this day, but as we also remember, you were quite happy with everything that we were working here. And it was, again, something for you to use real pop culture and real life world when talking about human rights.
We also had a shadow trainer that day. Maybe somebody can remember who was the shadow trainer and what she did. The name of the shadow trainer.
It starts with an L. Continues with U, Lu.
It was Lucia, no?
Yeah, Lucia.
Yes, it was Lucia. And Lucia showed us pop cinema on the day 3. She had a session with cinema and human rights. And the very last session that day was cancel culture. Right? If you remember, we had some clapping and then we watched the documentary. And today we're going to hear more about cancel culture, right? And that was it for the day 3, which brings us to the day 4, which started with for or against. And does anybody remember what was that about?
Yeah, can I?
It's a debate, eh? That's a debate about hate speech.
Yeah. Yes. Glory, please continue.
Yes, so basically for or against, we were divided into groups, and we had like 2 topics, if I'm not mistaken, and each group had had to choose between being, or had to pick up between being in favor of the topic or the argument or against it. And we debated, and we also had to choose which team we were, or the audience decided which team was the best at debating. The topics, of course, were related to the human rights issue, and one of them, I don't remember now, but it was about which type of rights were the most important, personal or collective ones. It was my group's one, that's what I remember. So yeah, this was it.
Great, thank you. Does anybody want to share something about what would you do session, or this action bound, this what we did in this action bound? Any memories on that?
I think it was a rainy day, surprise. So instead we had another activity instead of an action bound. So it's not $1 million question, but it could be a clap question. So if someone remembers, yeah, what did we do instead of an action bound?
It was something that all of you in the end really enjoyed, but something that also frustrated some of you quite a lot.
Is it the casino play or not?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was frustrated, yes.
That was the word that triggered your memory, right? Okay, so
we gambled with Jakov.
But you also wrote down some ideas about something. You didn't just gamble. Yeah, you had fun gambling, but you also had some real work.
Yes, we had basically, we had different tasks, and if we completed the tasks, we would gain fake money, and some of the task has to do with us creating some project plans. Of course, in relation to the human rights, we had to write, for example, some campaigns that we could or would do in the future to promote human rights. We also had to do these other tasks, and yes, the goal of it was for us to put us in the working mode, but also while having fun and, you know, being competitive with each other, which group would win the game in the end. So yeah, that was it.
Exactly, you summed it up perfectly. My strongest memory from this session was Vitaly being really angry at me for not giving him points. So that's my strong memory from this specific session, and being uncomfortable in evaluator's shoes.
Great. Okay, shall we continue? We had midterm checkpoint that we drew a hand, and then we said how we feel like and how is it training so far. Perhaps it's good to mention these reflections at the end of each day. Almost each day we had reflection. We invited you to reflect on your process of learning and what you have learned, how to self-direct in the process of learning, and you spoke in groups, or we invited you to maybe write down notes, have a diary or something like that. So that was also a part of the learning process, an important part of the learning process worth mentioning, which was happening almost every day, as I said. Okay, so we finished with the day 4 and day 5, organization fair and park library. Miki or Ivana?
Yes, so in the morning with the organization fair, we needed to represent our sending organizations. But the style of presentation was a bit more dynamic. So we needed to do something in the style of a podcast or a radio show or something like that. And we had 2 minutes to talk about the key values of the organization and represent the work. And then with the park library, we had some external activists come into Prostoria, and they were talking about their own experience working in the community in their own field, and we had the choice to listen to their stories and go to their small corner, I guess, and discuss with them about their work. So it was a bit of a community event and helping us to learn and understand more of the activism that goes on in Karlovac and in Croatia as well.
Thank you for that. Great summarizing of day 5. I think, is it day 5? Yes, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so and then day 6. Choose your case study, human rights based approach, and EU and guidelines through open space. We did have some changes that day. Does somebody remember any of those activities? Any of the activities that are written for the Sunday?
Yes, I remember the human rights based approach and the EU. Basically, it was the part that Valentina explained to us more about what human rights based approach was, and basically how it was connected to different European institutions. We also talked about different institutions, like that's about what do they do in the field of human rights. Basically, we had the European Commission, or we had United Nations Human Rights Council, something like this. And basically, we gained more information about this topic. So, yeah.
Great summary, Glory. Thank you. And in the afternoon, Igor was mostly with you, and he gave you again tasks to do. You had to invent something. What was it in the afternoon? What were these guidelines? If you remember, you had tables and you had large flip charts on those tables, and you were circling around these tables, trying to find some specific guidelines on, Igor, maybe you should talk about this part. It would be smarter.
Okay, so we had to discuss about the guidelines of human rights in the context of working with youth. So we had tables, and then we had to write down answers to questions that are connected to youth work in the field of human rights, right? That was about it for that day. Did we forget something? Choose your case study, maybe. What was that about? Valentina, could you remind us?
Again, we were working on some specific examples of human rights that you had to explore, some real life examples, and it was all connected with these institutions and how to use them both. So those were again real life examples for you to explore. It's also something that Glory already mentioned in a way. And we also had a group photo on this very day. And after taking the group photo, we came to day 7 when we were again smaller group. And when we, on the very last day of the training, we evaluated the training through several non-formal methods. We also we used Dixit cards, we used Tor tool, if you remember, the one where you had to move your pawns, your little figures across several rooms. And we talked about the follow-up activities like this one is specifically. So it was the recap of day 7. It was actually the closure of the training, but as few of you left already, we had smaller group and it was very lovely, and at several moments it was very, very strong, let's call it, let's say it that way, very strong and emotional. And thank you for that, and thank you for being with us during this whole week and for being super active and super interested in the topic.
Okay, so this was the timetable, but how did it look like in pictures? It looked like something like this. So, can you remember some of these activities? And who is this talented artist that drew Valentina in the upper left picture? Vicky, Ivana?
Okay, so the first one, the top left, with the lovely picture of Roja, it was actually the first ever thing we did. So it was basically the passports. And the second one, the ditch the value. Also, the one with Roja, there was this very bearded, mysterious artist that just walked in and then walked out. It was like, it was almost like a shadow. I don't really remember it.
We don't recall.
Yeah, I don't recall. The second one was ditch the value, as it is stated. So basically, when all of us were very shocked at some of the core values of these organizations. And the third picture on the right was when we were doing the red, blue, or green. So basically, when we were learning about the first, the second, the third, and the fourth generations of human rights.
Thank you, and I see that you have good taste in art. So
thank you. Of course, the best, simply the best.
Okay, so next picture. Is anybody here that took these pictures or that is on these pictures?
I'm going to be polite and ask Vasco to join the conversation.
Great, Jako, yeah.
Hello, I'm in the left picture that's above. It was about recreating pictures, and we tried to recreate a guy that himself alone stopped an army of tanks.
And you are still here with us, so you stopped Raquel with her tank army. So
yes,
good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And the lower right picture, what we did, maybe somebody from Aruba team, Swinda Talina.
Yes, I can.
Or yes, please.
Yes, the second one was from Cultural Night. And we had some things from our country, food, and we were talking about our country in this cultural night.
Great, thank you. So we are moving forward for the next pictures. What did we do on these pictures? I see some umbrellas.
I think in the photo in the left is about the activity we talked before. There was a main issue in our countries. No, I think it was the activity that we did.
Okay. Yes, thank you. You had to make a solution for a problem, if you remember. So that was about it. And on the right picture is who is maybe Vitaly is here, but I didn't hear him. Or is there somebody else here? We already heard Miro. Maybe somebody else from the picture is here. I didn't see all of the people.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, Vitaly, hello.
For me to interfere and to speak without actual. I'm trying to follow and not disturb you.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
From what I see here and what I remember, he was showing to the statues, to the action, the pictures, received as each team in order to describe the impact of the picture and how it's connected with the human rights.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, that was about it. Moving forward, we already spoke about this one. This was the casino play. As you can see in the upper left, Valentina was telling you that she felt really uncomfortable, but as you can see on this picture, she seems really comfortable in this role. So I don't know how much truth is to that she was being uncomfortable. And on the lower right picture, if you remember, we had here the stock exchange where we exchanged the stocks. It was the market here. Moving forward, somebody remembers this one?
It was the energizer that we did. Basically, we were all walking, and in order for us to upgrade to a specific level, we had to imitate all the animals that they were in order to become human. But if one, like, we had to do it in pairs, rock, paper, scissors, I guess, something like this. And if we lost, we should begin it from we should start it from the beginning.
Thank you, Glory. Yes, that was it. It was an energizer, Darwin's brother. I think the name was Darwin's brother. Moving forward, what was this about?
I think the picture left was about a podcast. The podcast, and that's Moldova, our friends, talking about the organization, what is their target group, the goal, and it's very nice. Also, a very nice podcast training.
Thank you, Svinda. And this lower picture is a mystery. Both Valentina and I commented that we don't remember what did we do on this picture. So if somebody knows how to solve this mystery, please help us. She's obviously explaining something.
Yeah, but we have no idea what. We wanted you to remember.
I think it's the part where you discussed about the human rights based approach and the EU institutions, if I'm not wrong, because I was seated in that place. I think that is.
Okay, that makes sense, Gloria.
It was on Sunday the 14th, the last day that we were there. Yes, because.
Yeah. We recognize that it's Sunday because you see it's rainy outside through the window. Okay, so moving forward, we have this picture. Does anybody remember this guy? He was not a participant.
Pride Karlovac. This day was about human library.
Yes, he was a participant for a human library as an activist in Karlovac. He organized a few weeks ago. Am I correct? A few weeks ago, he organized a pride in Karlovac. So this was like a huge thing for this community in Karlovac, right? Okay, and this picture. So it's not the last day, it's the day before the last day. Okay, I didn't remember that. Yes, and this was almost the end of our training, our really great training. I hope that you also have it in your memories as we do, as a really good one. And That's about it for this pictures. We don't have actually a lot of pictures. We just wanted to show you a bit, and we collected them, gathered them, chose them. No, we chose them with a smile, and that's about it on our behalf. Jakov, I invite you to take the mic and to lead us to the next step of this event.
I thank you for the mic, and now we have scheduled a small break. Welcome for the third time or second time. Hello, Maja Krištafor.
I like it when you say it like that. Krištafor sounds
I don't, but
international.
It's a good thing that you like it. Good to see you, Maja.
Good to see you too. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I have listened to you in the past 20 or 30 minutes, and I think we have a really, really good group. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be with you in person, but I hope that this presentation will do its justice.
I'm sure it will. Maja joined us, was a guest speaker at our activity in December. When we talked about LGBT rights and topics. It was one of the youth initiatives supported by Drone. Our young member organized the whole event, and Maja was speaker in front of the Rainbow Families Croatia, talking about youth and LGBTIQ+ topics. But she's not just that, she's more than that, and she will lead you when we gather in a minute or two through her interactive workshop on cancel culture. In a minute, I will transfer host role to you, Maja, so you can do your magic and work the group. Yes. And one more time, I apologize for the inconvenience of logging in and logging out, but yeah, we've been canceled several times by Zoom. So, but actually, we're thriving. We're not allowing to be canceled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jakov, you say when I start. I'm ready.
Yeah, we can just wait. We had 20 participants. Now we have 10, so maybe a minute extra. People are
no
drop by drop rejoining the. Yeah, now we're at 11. So, yeah. But you can introduce or start. Or I can talk jokes, what I don't want to do, because I don't know any jokes beside one joke, and it's in Croatian, and it's not actually translatable to English, and it involves chicken and elementary school, so you can imagine it's very fun. Yeah.
It's already funny.
Yeah. I know, yeah, you heard it several times from multiple times that I told it, I believe, unfortunately, and I apologize for that. Yeah, I'm going to mute myself. Maja, take over.
Amazing, thank you. So hi everyone, I'm really, really happy to be here and to say a word or two about cancel culture. Jakov already told me that you had something about cancel culture on your training, but I hope that I will bring you today some new information or maybe something that you didn't know. And after that, we will going to have like a small case study. So I'm going to like sum up my presentation, and then I will give the mic to you, because I really am interested in what are you going to say, because the case that I have prepared is interesting and a little ticklish, we say in Croatian. So we will talk about the cancel culture today and how cancel culture shapes the way we communicate on social media. So if you Google or go to Urban Dictionary and see what is cancel culture, you will get this. It is a desire to cancel out a person or a whole community from social media platforms, but it is like really scarce. It doesn't say much. So what is it? and how does it appear? So it is characterized, the cancel culture, by response of an quote unquote evil individual when they are shown to be wrong, or when they did something online or offline in the community. And people will call on their followers to report the social media accounts of the person or a group that did the criticizing or that did the bad thing on the internet. But I will just go through this, how cancel culture even started. So it started in 2010 on Tumblr. I don't know if some of you remember the Tumblr, when it was like a platform where people could post their songs, their content overall, and it was like maybe the first thing after MySpace that did where people could be like independent creators and they could create a community. So in 2010, posts began to appear where celebrities, series, films, movements were harshly criticized and boycotted in small communities. And then 4 years later, a phrase, cancel culture, appeared on Black Twitter, but the total number of posts then with the hashtag cancel culture was less than 100. But then we came to the 2018 and then 2019, and the pandemic hit. So a lot of us, or all of us, were at home. And then like the topic of cancel culture really appeared. So the Google Trends data indicates that it was then being really used. I will show you the Google Trends data. So you can see, I don't know, the data is small, but you can see like 2015, 17, 18 and nothing. And then February 2020, we see like a big peak. So the interest over time over the cancel culture really began to rise. And then what happened in that period of time is TikTok. So the TikTok really connected the Gen Zers and the Gen Alphas and some of millennials on the platform, and people started posting a lot about everything. But Gen Z does not stand for injustice. So with the TikTok becoming more and more popular, short form videos, and people started talking about what was important to them. Some of the big creators made some slip-ups, and people and Gen Zers then started gathering in communities and advocating for those people to get canceled overall over social media platforms. So cancel culture now is fueled with a desire to address issues such as racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, or other forms of discrimination. And the advocates argue that it serves as a way to challenge and dismantle systems of power and privilege, giving a voice to marginalized groups and promoting social progress. So you will see that it is a form of advocating against the bad things, quote unquote, the people who advocate racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and other forms. But critics, on the other hand, argue that cancel culture can lead to mob mentality, online harassment, and the suppression of free speech. So we now have like a polarized opinions of the people who are for cancel culture and people who are against cancel culture. On that, does cancel culture enables free speech? So critics say that that cancel culture often lacks nuance, it lacks fairness and the opportunity for redemption or growth of that person who maybe made a mistake, maybe they made something when they were ignorant, and they might have later deleted the content. Maybe they have made maybe they apologized, but still they are canceled. So we will see some of the examples of that. So maybe just have these two statements. So what is cancel culture in its core, and what the critics say, because this will come in handy when we get to the case study. just as an example of the first examples of the cancel culture in 2015 and then 2019. So this is Justine Sacco. She was an HR director of a really big IT company in 2015. And she made a Twitter on, as you can see here, like, going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS, just kidding, I'm white. So this is a whole lot of racism and a lot of things are here in this tweet. And shortly thereafter, when she posted this, a lot of people retweeted this, called her out, and it wasn't until she maybe one day after that she got fired, and she never managed to restore her image as she had it at that moment. So this is like a really an example of what happens to one person. What happened in 2019? We have Bill Cosby, we have Harvey Weinstein, we have R. Kelly. They were all rapists, and they did a lot of horrible things in their career, when they were the people of power at that moment, and they harassed other women who were around them at that moment. And people started, like, a lot in 2019, a lot of documentaries came out. A lot of women were encouraged to come out and say their stories. They were all prosecuted on the court, and that led to a Me Too movement. So we can see now that when people start speaking out, a lot of communities start speaking out against some people who did things that were not online, this is all offline, that it can also lead to them being canceled. So at the moment, none of them has any job that is public. Because they are influential people in their communities. I think that they have some kind of job still. They have their supporters and everything. But from 2019, they didn't show up in the media or anywhere like that. So we can say to some extent that they are canceled. Other people who got canceled over time or tried to be canceled were Ellen DeGeneres. When people started, who worked for her on her show, started speaking out against her on how she and her team treated them as employees. Then we have J.K. Rowling, who is really transphobic and is still using her Twitter account to advocate that trans women are not women. We have Sia, who made a movie about an autistic person, and then she didn't use an autistic actor. She used an able-bodied actor. And then people started calling her out that she should be canceled. But none of these people are canceled forever. They were canceled for a small amount of time, or they are canceled in some communities that don't support them anymore. That don't follow them, that don't buy their goods and services and things like that. So we can say that they did suffer some form of cancel culture, but they are still active in the media, in the press, with their things that they are doing, and they are not canceled like overall. But to focus on a specific case, and the scandal, this is a bi-sister scandal that happened in 2019, a little before the pandemic hit. So I don't know if you know about this case, but this is Tati Westbrook and James Charles, who were best friends in the makeup industry, or they were and they still are makeup gurus on YouTube. And what happened is that Tati was really famous in the moment. James was not, and Tati brought James on her platforms and advocated for him that he was at the moment, he was like, I think 18 or 19, that he is like a new prominent guru, and she like pushed him and her followers to follow him on his platforms. But things got complicated really fast, and maybe a year and a half after they were like besties on YouTube and everything, she posted this video that you can see here in the left corner, that she titled "By Sister." that had 47 million views, and this video isn't on social media anymore, where she advocated against James Charles. She said that he has been grooming other men because James Charles is gay, that he has been grooming other men and other boys that were younger than him, and that he is really that he treats the staff when they go out to restaurants, cafes, and everything, that he treats them really bad, that he stabbed her in her back because she made him famous, but he now has a sponsorship with some of the makeup brand she doesn't work with anymore, and things like that. The video was overall long for, I think, 1 hour, and she stated a fact after fact after fact against James Charles. And a lot of people supported Tati because she was in the industry way longer than him. And people started unsubscribing from James Charles' channel. And the thing was this, the whole scandal lasted for, I think, 3 weeks. It was like all eyes of people were on YouTube at the moment, because TikTok wasn't a really big thing at the moment. And there were a lot of these videos with a live sub count where people in real time could see how James Charles lost subscribers and Tati got them. So it was James Charles at the moment, like, went missing from all the platforms. He was missing for, I think, 2 months. He didn't post anything. He was at home and everything. But Tati posted videos. She got a lot of sponsorship at the moment. People really sympathized for her and things like that. And other people who followed James Charles, who bought his makeup lines, his palettes and everything, made content at that moment with them burning his goods, with them destroying his palettes. You can see it here. And the scandal was so great, so many people followed it, that even the small creators, this girl here who posted this on YouTube, I think this was her first video on YouTube. She had like millions and millions of views on her video, and a lot of people then decided to join on the scandal and on the canceling of James Charles, so they could be popular as well. But 1 month or 2 months after the scandal, the real truth got out, that Jeffree Star was behind the whole scandal, because Jeffree Star was a friend of Tati Westbrook and James Charles. James Charles became more popular than both of them. He started getting a lot of sponsorships, a lot of brand deals, and he became richer than both of them. So James Charles said lies to Tati Westbrook and made her. She said that he manipulated her into posting the video. But what happened for James Charles is that he suffered a mental breakdown. He went into psychiatric hospital house. He didn't post anything for almost a year. He wasn't active. He made a video of him telling his own story, but so many people didn't believe it that they bashed him. They sent him death threats. They sent him a lot of hate, even though it was later said that it wasn't true. So what happened to them overall is that Jeffree Star lost a lot of profit in millions of dollars. He lost, after the truth came out, almost 600,000 followers. He was reduced his popularity of his beauty line at the moment. And then he reduced appearance in public and on social networks. He later wasn't, he said that he isn't going to be a makeup guru anymore. He bought a land somewhere outside of the LA, and he's now growing alpacas, something weird. For James Charles, he lost his profit in millions of dollars, but he then, after the truth came out, he fixed his image through James Charles YouTube show and is now really popular on TikTok. And Tati Westbrook also lost her popularity. She lost a lot of her collaboration with brands. She, after that, apologized publicly, and you can now find her video of apologizing publicly to everyone for her part in the scandal. And she said that she repaired her relationships with James Charles. But the repercussions here, because why I picked this scandal, is because repercussions were real. They were real in so much hate, in death threats, in James Charles, sorry, having a mental breakdown. It had the real repercussions for people. So why I take this example is because we often, when we are on the other side of social media, when we are witnessing cancellation of someone, we just see numbers, we see comments, we see people through the screen. But we have to remember that even though some people deserve to be canceled because of the hate they are putting on social media, it still isn't on us to put so much hate on them and to send them any kind of threats. And people here often argue that cancel culture does exactly that, when not only people get canceled online, that they get also so much hate that they can't function as normal human beings in the real world. So this is something also maybe to have in mind when we get to the case study. Other examples that I wanted to show you is the Nike in 2019, where Colin Kaepernick, who is an NFL player, I don't know if you remember this, but he was the first one who kneeled on the stadium when the national anthem of United States was played before the game, because he said that he didn't wanted to stay up on the anthem of the country who is purposefully killing Black people and is purposefully making them a minority, and where people suffer so much hate and everything. So after that, people who didn't support him were all for his cancellation. How the comments were how the national anthem is sacred, the USA flag is sacred, we cannot be kneeling on our national anthem, etc. And that was in 2019. And then in 2019, Nike stand with Colin Kaepernick and made a campaign with him that was like, just do it, believe, just fight for what you believe in. And a lot of people who didn't support Colin Kaepernick then didn't support Nike as well. And they burned the sneakers, they burned the goods of the Nike, and then they advocated for Nike being canceled. But when it comes to like big brands, even though they make these kinds of campaigns, which in my opinion are good campaigns, or sometimes they make bad campaigns, there isn't a real possibility of them being canceled for good. There is a possibility for them where people won't buy their goods or services for some time, but people forget. When it comes to brands, people forget faster than when it comes to people, when it comes to like one person or a group of people. So but brands aren't excluded from cancel culture, but they don't get like a massive hit as one person or a group of people do. So that is like I said to Jakov, I will show you some examples, but I would like us to focus on the case study now. The case study is something that is happening at this moment. So even if you Google something, I don't know if you will find a lot, because I really want to hear what you think. And that is Shine influencer trip that happened 2 weeks ago. So I don't know if you know about Shein. Shein is at the moment the biggest super fast fashion retailer, online retailer in the world. And they are not only the super fast fashion producer, but they produce over 6,000 new garments, but not like new as in they have a collection and like new new garments that are like, I don't know, this shirt and now 6,000 copies of this shirt, but 6,000 new garments every day with almost 5,000 factories all over China. They're underpaying their workers. They are currently the biggest, after the oil companies, they are the biggest ecological polluter in the world. And their workers are now writing messages. Please help us. We are here. We are here being abused and putting in the garments, and people in especially in the USA are getting those messages with their clothes that they ordered online. So there is a lot of bad things happening now with the Shein, but because of that, they organized a PR trip 2 weeks ago where they acquired 6 influencers who are really big on TikTok. They have a lot of followers, in millions of followers, to come to China, to come to their one of their factories, and in Shine, how do you say it, innovation center, and that they made TikToks from the factory. The factory and the innovation center was staged completely. So Shein made a new building with beautiful conditions for the workers, and they showed the 6 influencers only the best things about Shein, and they paid them so much money to promote that Shein is not being what they say, that Shein has workers that are really good. All of their TikToks from all the 6 influencers are pretty the same. They all are have been paid by Shein to say they don't use child labor. They treat their workers well. Their factories are amazing and things like that. And right after they posted that, a lot of people started putting hate on the six influencers, saying that they got paid to promote the biggest ecological polluter at the moment and things like that. And now, at the moment, campaigns are being made against these 6 influencers and why they chose to work with Shein. So my question for you is, what do you think? Should the 6 influencers be canceled for working with Shein and promoting them, or not? I would like now, if you could, we have 5 minutes for you to divide into 2 groups and chat and sit on this question for a bit, and then I would ask you to answer this question. And if there are any questions, please ask me. Miki, Iva, you raised the hand.
Yes, we're actually not sure because we entered the room like 2 minutes later, and I don't know if Zoe mentioned this, but we're also mentioning that when you start boycotting these companies, you can't really boycott the producer themselves, because the stores which you're selling it could either be third-party stores or main brand stores. So basically, you have a Shein store, you have another store selling Shein clothes. So those articles of clothing are basically already bought from the factory. So the factory isn't losing the profit there. So by actually boycotting the clothes, you only boycott the seller. So basically the middleman in the whole operation.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that Shein doesn't have stores. It's just an online seller.
Yeah.
So they don't
have certainly are third parties.
Yeah, but there are third parties, yeah, who are buying and then reselling.
Who are reselling, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the problem there is the factory still is gonna continue producing, continue existing with the bad conditions, no matter if we buy the clothes or we don't buy the clothes. It doesn't even have to be a Shein branded factory. It can just still continue the practice. So really the biggest thing that could really change the situation the quickest and the most efficiently is the Chinese government regulating the the factory conditions throughout the country or the local municipal governments.
So what we mean by that is that the influencers themselves, yes, are responsible for their own part of the problem, but boycotting the influencers themselves doesn't get to the core of the problem. So rather, the attention should be focused on the company and appealing to the government, what is happening, and I guess encouraging them to take responsibility instead of putting all of this attention on the influencers who may or may not have the, like Zoe said, the intellectual capacity to understand the heaviness of the situation.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, because I agree with all of you. I think that all of you had really valid points. The Shane, all of the blame, the big blame is on Shane, because they chose to they chose to use influencers so they could boost their image, even though they are in the wrong, of course. But yeah, influencers do have their fair share. And I was in a room with some of you, and I don't know who said it, but it was a really valid point. Yes, we should address the influencers. Yes, you did something wrong, but we should not keep bullying them and send them any kind of threats whatsoever. So I would like to conclude now this, because we have a limited time. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be with you personally in Karlovac so that we could discuss this further. But something that I would like for you to take from this is that take everything that is served to you through influencers, social media brands with critically, think about it critically, think about it like that. Choose who you follow on social media, but don't. Even though some people are wrong and are spreading misinformation, they are spreading lies and things like that, hatred, still don't go into those conversations and bully the people who are behind that, because then you are becoming just like them, the bully. So don't do that. Think about it critically. Think about what informations are you going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But other than that, don't engage in bullying, because that isn't something that we should stand for. Mariana, you rose your hand. Rise. Sorry, my English.
No, it was the wrong hand. I was just showing an emotion of agree and partially agree to disagree, but it's okay.
Thank you, everyone. I'm now, I have to leave to another lecture, but it was a really pleasure to be here with you. And I hope that I will see you in maybe some other Erasmus. Thank you, and wishing you all the best with your presentation and your day afterwards. Bye.
Thank you, Maja.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep in touch. Thank you. Thank you. And as I mentioned in the email, some slight changes and stepping out of the schedules are possible. We are in that zone right now. So I will just ask some short time from your attention, please, for Miki and Eva to present the fourth generation. As Vasco said, only I don't have any part in it, so it's only Miki and Eva.
Yeah, it was only for us. Yeah. He was texting me frantically. Wait, what's going on? I was like, no.
Because all three of you were included in the email that we wrote, so I thought that the whole team prepared it, not just the Hungarian department of the North Macedonian team from Erasmus.
So for us, we actually thought that we were supposed to make a presentation about our tasks, and that is how this whole situation came to be. But after we left the training, we very heavily discussed the fourth generation human rights. We thought that they were very interesting, and because both of us are in technology and engineering, it's something that is very close to our career as well. So it was interesting to discuss it, and that is why all of the tasks that we completed were in relation to the fourth generation human rights, and we just wanted to share what we analyzed.
What we ended up working out in the end. So firstly, so all of this we're doing with the reason of that during our stay in Karlovac, we thought that we mostly concentrate on the more like traditional, up to the 20th century sort of third generation human rights, but we didn't really give, I feel, enough time to the fourth generation of human rights, which, as we all know, go beyond all of the individualistic civil and political rights, and they encompass the greater humanity as a whole, basically, and the future of humanity as persons, basically, as humans in the context of technology and in the future. So basically here, for example, the right should, and access to the internet become a right, should access to having an electronic device be a right, and that sort of a thing.
So when it came to our guidelines, we wanted to do the guidelines in respect to the fourth generation as well. So what we were researching and what we came across a lot is that in recognition of fourth generation human rights, there is always an idea that every violation is related to multiple different factors. So it's very multidimensional, which is the first time that we are facing this sort of a very generalized scope of factors. So we need to understand that when we communicate the fourth generation human rights and the violations of these human rights, we need to have a more sensitive approach to it and to analyze them as a network of different interconnected issues. So if we're talking about, for example, climate change, and if we're talking about the right to live in an environmentally safe condition, then we will also need to understand the social and political conditions of that particular area as well. So not only to understand these related factors, but when we are reviewing these factors in mainstream media, we need to take information from verified sources and look at the qualifications of the person who is writing these informations in order to make the educated judgment about the particular violation. So for example, if we want to know more about climate change and the technological conditions of a particular violation, it's better if we look into someone who, for example, is accredited by let's say a technological university, than to listen to that sort of information from
an oil company.
Yes, yeah, in that sense. And then media literacy as well.
And also we feel that one of the biggest problems we're facing, starting to really face right now, and with the development of AI, we're going to continue facing even on a much more industrialized, greater scale, is misinformation and how we can filter information. So basically, in the past, so with the traditional means of sharing media, for example, newspapers, radio, and early television, yes, misinformation also heavily existed, but not towards the scale that existed today. So basically, everyone who was writing needed to have some sort of background in writing and some sort of information gathering, some sort of background information gathering and filtering. So basically, even as you as the reader could already have some sort of filtered information. While today, anything could be written by anyone at any time, and it doesn't even have to be a human. It could also be a bot. So truly, I feel like we should develop more ways of filtering information, not only through algorithms, but also teach people and how they can filter information. We also feel that this could be implemented even from a very young age, of how you can filter information, look at sources, go deep into the problem, and start to see what makes reason and what doesn't make reason.
When it came to our examples of media, especially in music, we wanted to focus on two different songs that albeit loosely discuss fourth generation human rights, because it's still a very developing concept in society, and we're not going to play them just so it's in what's it called, in service of time. Yeah. But we included the links, and we're just going to introduce the songs vaguely. So the first one that we have is by Hozier. It's called Nina Cried Power, and this is a very modern protest song, and it takes into account how protesting today can be done not only through expressing your opinion publicly and going out physically, but also through media as well, and music, and different types of, let's say, mainstream spread of opinions. So it's a very, I suppose, modernist look onto protesting and how different activists can spread their ideas much quicker. And then the next one that we wanted to share with you is by Florence and the Machine, and it's called King. And this song is one of my favorites, and it talks about the different sacrifices that women need to make in regard to men when they're choosing a career. So the different factors that they need to take into account when they're choosing a career, and how that refers later on onto their personal lives as well. So again, a very, I suppose, a more modern issue to look into. And the final task we did was about the movie. Again, maybe some of you know it, but we're not going to play the trailer, but the link is there, so Miki's just going to tell you about it.
So basically, we chose Blade Runner 2049, but yes, and also the original Blade Runner as well. But we specifically chose Blade Runner 2049 because it's the more modern movie, even though it kind of delves into similar topics as the first one that Jakov showed us. But it also more deeply goes into what it actually means to be human itself. It also poses some questions on loneliness, on can technology fill the void in your life? Can synthetic life forms that are human-like be considered human, and what really separates them? Does being born and having a mother, does it give you the right to look down upon these lower beings, basically? And this whole movie franchise was actually inspired by Philip K. Dick's book "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," which I have, but I need to read. And yeah, that's about it. You should watch it.
So that's all that we had to show you, and thank you for your attention. We're sorry for this miscommunication. We actually thought this was part of the meeting, so sorry to be taking away your time, but thanks for giving us your time.
For your attention.
You are not taking the time, you are giving the information and sharing the knowledge. So thank the two of you for preparing it, and thank you for including it. It's Igor's favorite movie. It's one of my favorite books, the original version. Movie number one. Yeah,
this is one of those rare occasions when I can say that the movie is better than the book, at least for me. But yes, thank you for that. It has been awesome, and this is a great introduction to what I have to announce. Our next training in the topic of human rights. It's in December this year, and it's on the fourth generation of human rights. We are preparing it right now, and it's going to be based on the fourth generation, right? So we are all already have been discussing about using Blade Runner, Star Trek, and something like that, you know, for the discussions. So thank you for that. So yeah, that's it on my behalf. I announced a training in the December, and it's going to be called The Rights of Tomorrow.
Igor, is it going to be in Karlovac?
Yes, it's going to be in Karlovac. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I will contact your coordinators with information about the training, and you will have you will be first ones to know if you're interested, so you can save the dates and join us in Karlovac. And this last part, as we as we had in mind, is for you to share as a closure, to share some things with us. Did you have some time to have the activities? Were you inspired by the training and made something or did some workshops, etc.? So this last part, and the floor is yours if you want to share something after the training that you felt it resonated with you and you put it into the real world.
Well, for me in Aruba, I've been in contact with the coordinator of the youth parliamentary, and we've been in the work to create a type of like training, or not even training, but more like an interactive session where we facilitate for the members of the youth parliament to get more in tune with the human rights and the youth rights that are available. And this is also in collaboration with Swinda and Ingrid, that they will also be present for this. And steps has also been taken to see of the possibility to have the youth parliament voice be heard in Europe as well, so in the European Union. So that is one of the things that's been happening here on my end.
Thank you, Tali. That sounds really whoa. advanced. Thank you. Thank you, Meg. Great seeing you, great hearing you, not seeing you. We didn't see you, but we heard you well. And thank you for you being outspoken, and thank you for sharing with us. Would someone else like to share swiftly if they managed to use the knowledge or methods in their life, work?
I will bring this. So to say Croatia, yes, we very
I'm waving with this.
Yeah, I wanted Luka Modric to win the Nation League, but I was so sad. I said, "Oh,
you watched it."
yeah. It's one of my favorite football player.
Oh.
And now in Spain, we are having like elections day. We have like the different parts of Spain, and now is the general. So it's great to know about rights, because now the governments are changing dramatically. So for the discussions, the debates, and everything is great to know about what are the rights and what belongs to us, like in politics terms.
I hope
so that knowledge helped me a lot as a young woman to be able to express myself.
Thank you, Zoe. Someone else? It's not obligatory. It's something that we would like to hear, but it's we will have a chance to meet one more time to discuss some brief topics. But if you don't have something else to add to this wide array of topics and themes that we covered in a little bit over an hour and a half, and thank you for staying till the end, then I can just say from my side, thank you very much for joining it. Thank you for sending the materials. I'm incorporating some of the late arrivals into the final product for the pop catalog, and more movie recommendations, music recommendations, book recommendations you will find in one place. Oh, and Salome has a Björk behind her back. I do on my right as well. Yeah. So from my side, thank you very much. Igor.
Yes, thank you very much. It has been really a pleasure to see you all, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for staying with us, and that's it, I think. Thank you very much
everyone.
once again.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.